What's going on, everybody? This is Island Hopper TV podcast, and today I'm going to talk about how expensive it is in the United States and how I save money overseas. So, the US has gotten crazy expensive and the value is not there. I'm not saying the United States is a bad place, okay? I think US is a great place. I love it. It's my homeland, it's my passport. I served in the military and I love it, right? But that doesn't mean that it's not overvalued or overpriced, I should say. So it's not a good value in the US. And, I went back to the US a couple times. If you factor in how much I pay for my mortgage or rent on a two-bedroom condo, okay, just a two-bedroom condo in the city in a place that's not very livable. I mean, it's not a place you can walk around. You have to get in your car everywhere you go. So you have to pay $2,200 for that plus HOA, which is another $300. Then you have to pay homeowners insurance or any other fees, property tax if you own it. Then you have to pay for your car, because I don't see how you can live in the US without a car. And if you're going to have a car, you might as well have something that actually works without breaking down all the time. So you're going to be paying around $300 to $400 more a month for that. Insurance is usually $100 on a cheap side, $200 on a high side. Your phone bill usually is $135 a month. I mean, I'm just putting that into perspective. You have Wi-Fi, your internet, you have your cable TV, right? All of that stuff adds up. By the time you know it, you're at around $4,000 a month before you even do anything fun, before you even live your life. That's just basically out of the box, okay? That doesn't include even going shopping. Last time I was in the US, I paid $10 for a stick of deodorant. Seemed like last time I was there, before that, it was like $3 for a stick of deodorant. How did everything double in price? Right now I'm in Asia, and I just paid about $3, and I got a thing of Gatorade. I got a whole Gatorade. Okay, I'll just show you what I got for $3. Gatorade. I got, I don't know, some like breath mints. I got some mango slices because I like mango slices. They're pretty tasty. And I got these gummy bear probiotic things. That cost me $3. In the US, the Gatorade alone easily would have been $3. All right, so the point that I'm making is, once I realized a few years ago something strange was going on, I traveled overseas and my money lasted longer. I was like, man, I'm outside the country. I'm fully online. Like, I'm fully remote. All of my income was online. I would have never thought that was going to be the case. I always thought I was going to be someone who worked for somebody or owned my own construction company or did something like that. But the way it ended up happening was I ended up, getting into digital marketing. I actually tried a few times to get out of working on the internet. I tried to open like a bike shop. I tried to open a construction landscaping company, and all of that was nowhere near as profitable as working on the internet. So regardless of how you guys want to judge someone who works on the internet, I know I would have thought that was kind of a weird job, but hey, I mean, I make more money, I have more flexibility, why not, right? So, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to work online, or you're going to work in a 9 to 5 that doesn't pay you even a percentage or a fraction of what it is, right? So, I'm fully remote. I realized I didn't need to be in the US. The only thing that was keeping me in the US was this idea that I needed to be near my family, which, I still talk to them, but I don't have to be near them, because even when I was there, I didn't really see them that much. But then also, I thought, well, I own a house, or I have a business, or I have mail, and I was like, what is all that bogging me down for? How is that chaining me down to this country? And, once I started it started to click in my mind. I'm like, I'm saving money. I'm spending like $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and I'm living a better lifestyle. I'm happier in these other countries, and I can travel around. And that was when it got to a point where I said, why don't I just do this full time? And I went all in. I became a full-time YouTuber traveling, okay? And now I can live anywhere and do all this. But once I realized that the US wasn't just expensive, the inflation hasn't stopped. The inflation is still going up. I mean, if I wanted to be a digital nomad in, say, Florida, right? It's just too expensive. Where do you want to be a digital nomad, right? Kansas? I mean, yeah, maybe you can get a good deal in Kansas, but how's your mental health, What's your lifestyle going to be like in Kansas? I mean, there's a reason there's so much obesity in Midland America, Midwest, is because there's not much to do to keep you active, to keep you stimulated, to keep you happy. I mean, that's why people move to Mississippi. In Kansas, they save money and they're not happy, okay? So, I mean, once you realize there's something else beyond that. Now, I get it. I have this luxury and this opportunity that exists, and we don't know how long it lasts. where, in this world, it's always kind of going through wars or lockdowns or whatever. Right now, it has been something that's been available for the last like 10 years, where you can literally live anywhere and work online. But as times change, you have to be flexible. And if any time I have to go back to the U.S., then so be it. I mean, that happened during the COVID thing. I had to go back. Although what I realized was I didn't really have to go back. I thought I had to go back because a lot of people ended up staying over in Thailand and Philippines and Vietnam and just weathering the storm through that. So the first time I stayed overseas long term, that was when I realized, okay, I don't have to look at it as travel. I can research the visas that are available. So I started looking at visas that were available for someone in my age range, which was at the time 41. So what kind of visas were available for a 41-year-old? And I looked at my options in Thailand. They had a visa. It was called DTV, Destination Thailand Visa. Also, if you wanted to stay long-term in the Philippines, you just every 30 days you go to the immigration office. Same thing in Vietnam. You just do a border run. Now, we don't know how long these things are going to last, but I mean, what I realized was, okay, do I really need to stay longer than 30 days in Vietnam? Do I really need to stay longer than 30 days in Philippines? So I would just hop around. Island Hopper TV. That's how, that's what it is. So what it was I realized, okay, you don't always have to travel. You've been to all these places. You've collected a lot of information. Now just find your favorite places and go back there and stay for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then move around. In Thailand, with that Destination Thailand visa, though, it's really nice because I can actually stay for 6 months at a time. Okay, so if I stay for more than 180 days in a year, though, I become a Thai tax resident instead of a U.S. tax resident. But I just stick with the U.S. tax residency just because I have my accountant and everything, and just streamline it that way. But they have some of these countries have a dual tax agreement where they can't double tax you. So you either pay to one or the other. But either way, once I realized that there was that Destination Thailand visa that allowed me to stay up to 180 days, I found that to be convenient because then I didn't have to feel like, okay, it's almost coming up to my 30 days. I better leave and find a new place. I can actually kind of chill. And actually in Thailand, if I wanted to stay a little bit longer, what I can do is go from Bangkok to Chiang Mai to Hua Hin to other places around Thailand. Or I can do that same thing in Philippines. I can go from Manila, I can go to Cebu, I can go to Surigao. And I could stay 2 weeks in each place or until I get bored in that place. And yeah, you are going to be saving money. You do save money traveling like this. Now, I have thought about doing a little bit more of this digital nomad stuff in Europe, but I would say that Europe is also very expensive. There are some ways to find good deals. Basically, what you're ultimately looking for is value, okay? So where do you get the most bang for your buck? Where are you getting the most value? And it could be in Costa Rica. I do get these ideas to go back to Latin America, maybe to Ecuador, to Peru, and kind of just slowly move through there and just familiarize myself with South America or Latin America or even Mexico. I mean, it's not just Asia, it's not just Latin America, or even the Caribbean would be a nice place to just kind of chill, right? But this is kind of what I've realized is you save money, okay? Let me put it like this. If I book a business class ticket from San Diego to Bangkok, it routes through Vancouver. Let's just say that on Air Canada, okay? That ticket might cost $1,800 for a one-way ticket, right? Okay, so if I booked economy, that would be $800. But after about 2 or 3 weeks in Bangkok, I've already caught up to that business class ticket and economy. I've already paid off the ticket in the amount of savings that I've collected just by not being in the US. So after 2 or 3 weeks of being in Thailand, just in savings, you've already paid for your ticket, your ticket across. Now everything past that is savings to you, okay? So that's basically, you could almost say, it's like I'm saving $1,800, $2,000 per month by being out of the United States. And it's not just the rent, it's not just the food, it's not just the fuel, it's also the prices of everything that you buy for daily items. I mean, the whole thing across the board. How much is a Gatorade in the US right now? I want to say it's over $3. This right here is less than $1 in Thailand. It's Gatorade. Why is it cheaper here? I don't know. Maybe it's price parity, I guess you could say. But I mean, even in China, I was just there, and you save a lot of money being there. The dollar just goes further. But Again, what it comes down to is value. Where are you getting the most value? Where are you getting the most bang for your buck? So I personally can tell you, I never would have thought that I would, be living outside the United States. It never once dawned on me when I was like below 30 that I would ever, even below 35, I thought, oh, well, I would travel, but I never saw myself actually leaving the US. In fact, when I was in my 20s, I used to love going back to the US. I didn't want to leave because I was in the Navy, and every time we had to leave, I was like, oh man, I'm going to miss home. I'm going to miss home. Something changed. I don't know if it was my character or if it was the US. I would say probably both, but I would say the big factor here was the US. I mean, I remember in the 90s, US used to be great. I used to brag about it. I used to brag about life to everyone that I would come across, how amazing America is. And nowadays, I don't really see myself doing that. It could be because of the political climate or whatever it is, or the news or the chaos or the activism, who knows what all has caused me to feel that way. But this was something I never really thought about. But someone was telling me that, it was an option. I got other people telling me. It seemed like the universe was sending me signals like, hey, you can do this. Have you ever thought about doing this? You can actually do this. And then that's kind of where I ended up doing it. So I'll just put things into perspective with cost here. So my house, if you factor in all the Wi-Fi, the electric bill, all of that in the US for a 2-bedroom condo in the middle of an okay area, nothing special, that's for sure, about $2,500 a month in Phoenix, Arizona. Hot in the summers, decent weather in the winters, but nothing really going on around there. I mean, if I wanted a good meal, the things to do in this city in Mesa is go to Walmart. That's a thing to do on the weekend. Go to Walmart, shop around. If you got a backyard, you can buy some plants and plant some plants in your backyard. But if you're living in a condo, you can't really do that. Go golfing. Yeah, golfing's fun. But when it's hot, you don't really want to go golfing. And then, what else is there to do? Drive your car around, go get some food, but then it's all fast food. So you're pretty much just driving your car around. That's pretty much the thing to do, is get in your car and try and drive somewhere. And then once you've gone to the same place over and over, you kind of get bored and you're like, I need to change the scenery. You get what I'm saying? So for $2,500 a month, that's what I'm getting for rent. Whereas if I'm in Bangkok, or if I'm in Vietnam, or if I'm in some other place, Philippines, and my rent, and I can change this place because I'm not always staying in the same place, I can get it for under $1,000 a month. And that includes everything. And that's going to have a pool, that's going to have, a sauna, that's going to have a gym. All that stuff is really accessible. Downstairs is going to be like a cafe with restaurants. The second I walk out of the street, I'll have a restaurant here, a restaurant there. So much variety. And it's all walkable. I don't have that kind of luxury in the US. I have to get in my car. If I wanted to walk somewhere out into the road, it's going to be like crazy cars driving all up and down 55, 60, 70 miles an hour up and down these roads. You don't want to walk on those sidewalks anyways. Over here, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit loud. You might hear some tuk-tuks, or you might hear some motorbikes zipping by. But other than that, everything is conveniently located. Like where I'm at now, and this is just one location, but I have many locations like this. Pretty much every location that I find, I've got a grocery store that I can walk to. Okay, I get these, reusable bags, and I go in there and I get my little things, my banana and my, I get my tea and all these little things that I like. And, it's all fresh because there's the convenience of that. I've got like 10 different options for restaurants, okay? I've got like coffee. If I want some coffee, I've got like 4 or 5 cafes, probably within a 5-minute walk in either direction. And we're not talking Circle K or 7-Eleven coffee. I'm talking like, gourmet coffees, okay? And they're only like $3. How much is the Starbucks in your neighborhood? You know what I'm saying? And, a lot of people, they think, well, maybe I'm hating on the US, but what I'm talking about is value, okay, and expenses and inflation, and it's gotten out of control, and I don't see an end to it. So until they get the inflation under control and they can fix the value, I don't really see how things are worth being there. And if you've got a remote job, or if you've got remote income, whether it be retirement income, a lot of people who watch this channel anyway, they're over 55. I was looking at my insights. 35% of the viewing audience on this channel are males over 55. So that tells me that there's a lot of people who are interested in retiring overseas, or also getting a change of scenery. Now, there are some places in the US that I'd want to live, And it probably wouldn't be in a big city. I can't think of a single big city that I'd want to live in just because they're usually more expensive. And, they're very heavily dependent on cars, and there's not much peace and serenity anywhere around there. So it's just like there's no way to really relax or calm your nervous system. Most of you guys are probably, anxious or feeling, like your nervous system's a little bit in fight or flight, as they say. And you probably have, some sort of addiction to something just to calm you, right? Because you're like, how can I go about this sober? I need something to calm me, whether it be a couple drinks of beer or something. I don't know what you guys like to do, but assuming it's all legal and everything. I mean, I'm just saying, like, over here, the only thing I've been doing for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I haven't had a beer or anything, is just coffee. I'm fine with a coffee or a cola. I don't really feel like I'm stressed out or anxious or anything. I get back in the US, I'm like, oh man, you feel it right when you get back in there. It's just the whole place is electric. It's like static energy all around. And so hopefully, we can get this economy stabilized. I don't see how prices go down, because once they go down, I don't really see how they go up. The only way they can normalize is if we got paid more, and no one's willing to pay us more, right? It's like my income personally hasn't changed for the last 4 years, but cost of everything's gone up. But if you're in a situation where you've got Social Security or military retirement pay, or whether you work for the government and you have a retirement pension or some sort of pension, or you've got some sort of annuity or 401k, I'm telling you, if you're autonomous and you can break out of that and there's nothing really keeping you in that place, maybe you've got this odds and end job back in the US because you're trying to make it meet, because maybe you only get $2,000 a month for Social Security, right? Well, in the US, $2,000 a month barely pays your rent, right? Over here, $2,000 a month will pay for your rent, your food, your transportation. You don't need a car, so you won't need an extra job because that $2,000 a month pays for everything. You get what I'm getting at? So, a lot of you might think, oh man, you're hating on America. You don't want to live in America. Why? What's wrong with you? You don't love your country. I love my country. I have nothing against it. My point is that, if I'm going around, I tell people, where are you from? I'm from America. I don't sit there and say I'm from Canada. I don't sit there and say I'm from somewhere else. I'm just someone who's looking for value in life. I've got an opportunity to get better value, better living conditions. And, I'm following the laws in every country. I get visas. I, follow the immigration laws of everything they ask me to do. So why not? And, if things can improve in the U.S., sure. I mean, I would love to go back and buy a piece of property and live up on some mountain with a nice view and build a nice house and, have some bobcats or mountain lions or coyotes or javelinas or something come up into my backyard and feed them some food. I don't know. But right now, man, I was looking at those prices. I feel like it's going to come back down again because it's getting to a point where I don't think people can survive to live in the U.S. So we'll see what ends up happening if prices and inflation can slow. But right now, it's gotten to the point where I don't even know if I could go back. Okay, so we'll see you guys on the next one.